3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody, and welcome to part 3 of your Sprite Sheet animation. What we want to do is open up the project we were working on last time, and we're going to click See Inside, and now what we're going to do is add some code. First thing we want to do is do a Save As copy and change that to part 3, so we're moving on to our next project. And now we need to build up our code to animate the sprite sheet that we've made. So to start that off, first things first, as always, bring in a when flag is clicked, and we're gonna put a forever loop in here. Now what we're gonna do is have a bunch of if-thens. So I'm gonna bring one, and I'm gonna put a sensing. And I am going to press if key is pressed, then what we can do is we can set this to a couple different things. If you wanted to control with your WASD, which is pretty common, you could put in those letters here, scroll down, or you could use the up arrow, duplicate with this, and we could go down arrow, duplicate, right arrow, left arrow. And now what we can do is put this inside our forever loop, and we are going to attach some movement code. The first thing that we'd want to do is we are going to come here and we're going to click change X. So if you move left and right, what does that change? You can see it down here. That's going to change your X. So if you want to move to the left, that's going to change your X by a negative number. Let's start with -5. And now if we're going right, that's going to make it positive. So we'll do a +5. Now for up, if you notice, that's going to increase our Y, and then down is going to decrease our Y. So we're going to change Y by 5 if we're going up, and change Y by -5 if we're going down. So now when we press play, we should be able to move this character up and down. So I'm going to press play. Move up, move left, move right. Fantastic. So we've got a couple different things that we want to do now. So notice when I press right, it's still looking left. So we want to bring in 2 of these for our left and right, and we can put that in here. Point in direction and point in direction. So when I want to press the left arrow, which direction do I want it to point in? 90 degrees. When I press the right arrow, I'm going to try to do -90. All right, looks good. So he changes the direction he's facing. You're going to notice something a little strange right now, which is, why is he turned upside down? That's because the sprites start in Scratch in a 360-degree orientation. That means that they can face any direction. Since this is a 2D sprite, we want to change that to 2D. If you right-click on it and go to Info, that's our rotation style. We want to just click on that little arrow, and that makes it a 2D orientation, or the way that they face. So now, once you've changed your orientation to left and right, and you've set your directions. Now, just as an aside, for the 90 or -90, these could change depending on the way the image faces in your sprite sheet. So you might have to change this to -90 and this one to +90, depending. So at this point, you should be able to move your guy around and up and down and around the screen, and this code should be working fairly well. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you read through your code, you understand what's happening. Now what we need to do is complete our animation cycle. So what we can do is right-click and duplicate this, and I'm going to pull all this code out. What we want to do now, the same as we were doing with our GIFs, we want to bring in the next costume, and we want to bring in a wait block to create. So we can do 0.01. So when I press the up arrow, what's going to happen? He's running around. So what you could do, you've got a choice here. You could duplicate this 3 times and change it to down, left, and right. Or what we could do is bring in our operators. So what we could bring in is an OR, and an OR. We can put our up here, and we can duplicate that and nest it. We can put it to down, duplicate that, and nest it there. So we're going to drop this in. Now we've got our code that is going to animate when we press the up arrow, the down arrow, the left arrow, or the right arrow. So we're going to press run. And now you should be finished with part 3, where you have your little guy that you've made on your sprite sheet running around, frolicking on your page. I'll see you soon. Bye.